What's going on, guys? TomahawkWarrior here, and today I'm bringing you guys my Nightly Crusader deck, using Sir Gwen with a bunch of knights in it. This is actually a deck that I own in real life, and I was very excited to be able to make it pretty close in Arena. Obviously, there's some cards that don't exist um, in Arena that exist in real life, but I tried to keep the deck as true to the theme that I had made in real life as I could. So, like I said, we're using Syr Gwyn, hero of the something something as our commander. She is a 6 cost 5/5 Vigilance Menace. When an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card, lose 1 life. Equipment you control has equipped knight 0. So a lot of people like to make it her pretty much a Voltron commander, pump her with a bunch of equipment, and just let her go ham. However, I did like the idea of just making a whole deck based around knights. So while I do have some things to put on her, I also use a lot of other knights, and with those knights on the field, I'm 100% fine with making a 1/1, giving him a +10/+10 Colossus Hammer, and I think it's hysterical. But yeah, so let's run through the deck list. So obviously, Commander, we got Sir Gwen. We won one Mox Amber. There is enough legendary creatures in this deck to where I feel that I get the mana from it. Dauntless Bodyguard, the 1 cost, 2/1, gives a creature indestructible by sacrificing yourself. One thing I will say, guys, with this deck, play your cheap knights as quickly as possible. Don't hold them waiting for Sir Gwen to play Dauntless Bodyguard. Just put it down as soon as you can. If you get any use of out of its ability, great. If not, it's not too bad because, like I said, she is a 2/1, and this whole deck is playing around the knight theme, so these knights will get pumped up really quickly. So play them early. Swords Plowshare, because why would you not have this card in the deck? You know, gets rid of a problematic creature. Venerable Knight, it's another 2/1 for 1. When it dies, you put a +1/+1 on another knight. Just put on whoever you need to. Falmer Knight, it's a knight. Also, it does have it will allow me to draw a card. Knight of the Ebon Legion, it's a knight. It's also a knight that can get pretty big pretty quick. Feverin Knight, again, cheap knight. However, when it does attack, it does give one of your other knights a +1/+0, which I think is amazing. Obviously, we had to include Colossus Hammer for 1 cost artifact, giving anything a +10/+10 with the cost of losing flying. It is fantastic. There are some cards that'll make it a little cheaper to equip this to other things, but with Sir Gwen, it costs nothing. We have Nightly Pledge. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, so makes Gwen a little bit harder to kill, makes some of the smaller knights a bit more useful quicklier. Worthy Knight, whenever you cast a night spell, create a 1/1 human creature. It's important to note this does not create knights, so just do be careful with that. However, still a fantastic card. Black Alliance Paragon. It's a 3/1 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, target knight gets Death Touch or Lifelink to the end turn. So use its flash ability when you can to give like Sir Gwen or one of your other knights Death Touch and Lifelink. If not, play it as a knight card. It's a 3/1. It's fine. Order Midnight. Return target creature card from the graveyard to my hand. Fetches a knight that I've already used, and it's also a 2/2. It can't block, but I mean, who cares? It's a 2/2 with flying for 2. That's fantastic. Smitten Swordmaster, the secret OP card of the deck. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get too many instances on MTGArena with this, but there have been many times in real life where I've been playing my friends, and I've gotten enough knights on the field that I was able to use the Sorcerer's ability of this card, where you gain X life, your opponents lose X life, where X is the number of knights you control. So I was able to just flood the field with a bunch of little tokens, play this card, my opponents lost upwards of 10 life, I gained a bunch of life, and they all died. So this card is secretly OP. Do not knock it. It is a great card. And it's only a 2 cost for a 2/1. That's fine. That having the adventure cost on it, or adventure option on it, is fantastic. Emberous Shieldbreaker. Emberous Shieldbreaker destroys target artifact. Get rid of my opponent's mana rocks or whatever else I need to. Otherwise, it's a 2/1 for 2. Fine. Rimrock Knight. Again, another cheap knight. You're never going to use its adventure cost or adventure, whatever you want to call it. It can't block, but again, it's just a cheap knight. Put it down on the field. Corpse Knight, fantastic creature for bringing problematic players onto an even playing field or generating advantage in arena where this is more of a 1v1 format. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control, each opponent loses 1 life. So once I start wilding with my knights and bringing in a bunch of small knights, this can generate me a lot of advantage really quick. Winterboar Commander. It is a 2 cost, 2 question mark. Has Death Touch, which is amazing for 2. Its toughness is equal to the number of knights I control, and whenever it attacks another target knight I control gains indestructible to the end of the turn. So this card can just become a gigantic wall, and it becomes really problematic for my opponents to deal with because A, has Death Touch, and then B, for all those cheap knights that I've mentioned above, and more knights get to be gone over shortly, he gets bigger and bigger defense-wise. So he becomes a problem, and then when he attacks, he gives Sir Gwen, Sir Conrad, whatever I need, indestructible. Fantastic card. Still Cloud Lance, 2 costs to give a enchanted creature +2/+2. It only costs 1 to equip, which is fantastic. Why would you not put this card in a knight themed deck? Inspiring Veteran, the first of many, but it's 2 costs for 2/2. Other knights of control get +1/+1. So this will buff up the little tokens that we're gonna make, makes those other cheap knights big, fantastic. Sky Knight Vanguard. Whenever Sky Knight Vanguard attacks, create a 1/1 white soldier token that is tapped and attacking. Point of note, it doesn't make knights, but it does make soldier tokens, which are fine. They're good enough to block with. It is a knight, and it's flying, more importantly. So as it starts to get buffed, it can start doing damage that, if you don't have reach or flying, can't be dealt with. Arcane Signet, because, mana rocks are amazing, and we don't have Soul Ring in this game. Black Blade Reforged, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land I control. So I want to play a lot of lands. This allows Sir Gwen to hit for a lot really quickly. Mindstone, another mana rock. Acclaimed Contender, 3 costs for 3/3. When it enters battlefield, if I control another knight, look at the top 5 cards in my library. I may reveal a knight or equipment or legendary artifact card from among them, put them into my hand, put the rest in the bottom of my library in any order. Fantastic card for early to mid game. Fetch a knight that I need, or fetch an equipment or an aura that I'm going to need shortly. This card is amazing just to look at the top 5 cards. Also, if I don't need anything out of it, just put them at the bottom and continue on with my life. I just call this card the Resplendent card because I don't know how to pronounce his name because, I don't English good. But it's a 3 cost for a question mark 4. Legendary creature, Vigilant. Its power is equal to the number of creatures I control. So we've already gone over quite a few cheap cards. Also, quite a few cheap cards that make tokens. Whenever it attacks, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that is tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. So I can usually throw this at my opponents and then use that token to go after whatever planeswalker they have. Normally my opponent will block the planeswalker if they can with something, so it takes one other blocker away. So that's another card that can't block Sir Gwen. Really good card. We have the Tactician, 3 costs for 2/3 flying. Its adventure cost is fantastic. The ability to tap 2 target creatures. I love doing that. Just makes it so that my opponents can't block as many cards as they'd like to. Marshall, 3 costs for 3/3. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Secretly, really good card in the deck because it buffs up my knights, but also buffs up my little human tokens as well. So this card is fantastic for making all those little token generators even better. Danitha, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink for 3 costs on a 2/2. Fantastic. Auras and equipment spells I cast cost 1 less. So that's great. If I don't have access to Sir Gwen, I could use those auras that we've already talked about and cast them for cheaper. We have History of Benethal. Creates me two White Knight tokens with Vigilance, and then on the third turn, Knights of Control get +2/+1. Fantastic. So I like to try to use this card in the mid game. It gives me 2 little knight tokens. Hopefully I've got things that are buffing up my knights by that point. And then I just swing a bunch of, at minimum, 4/3 knights at my opponent. This card is fantastic. Obviously, we do run Teferi's Protection. This card has got me out of more jams than I can count. The amount of times where I've had, basically either a weak board or really no board. My opponent swings at me for game, play this, I get an extra turn, and then that turn I'm able to turn everything around. Or they swing out for game, play this, my don't lose life, I don't lose the game, and then I'm able to turn it around the next turn by buffing up a bunch of knights. Fantastic. The Lost Legion, it's mainly in the deck because it is a knight. However, the ability to scry 2 is fantastic. It's only a 3 cost for 3/2. Put in the deck. It does actually really good work most of the time. Midnight Reaper, because, of course, whenever a non token creature I control dies, it deals 1 damage to me and I get to draw a card. So, helps me to generate card advantage. Does deal some damage to me, but whatever. It's a great card. Obviously, we got to put Murderous Rider in the deck. Destroys target problematic creature that my opponent has. And then, it is a 2/3 lifelink for a 3 cost, which is fine. And then when it dies, it goes to the bottom of my library instead of the graveyard, which can be problematic, but more times than not, just a good thing. Oathsworn Knight, 3 costs for a 4/4. It attacks each combat if able. If damage would be dealt to Oathsworn Knight while it has +1/+1 counters on it, prevented that damage, you remove a +1/+1 counter for it. So it is a wall at worst. It is a 4/4 for 3 at best. Great card. Knight's Charge, best enchantment I have in the deck currently. It's a 3 cost. Whenever a knight attacks, my opponents lose life, I gain a life. Fantastic. However, it's 8 cost. Sacrifice Knight's Charge. Return all knights from the graveyard to the battlefield. So if my opponent board wipes and I have this on the field, sacrifice it, bring all those knights back, let them do knight things. Great card. Also, the ability for whenever I'm swinging out early, if I can get this card down early enough to generate myself life advantage, it's fantastic. It means I don't have to block necessarily. I can take an extra turn, just let them hit me for a bunch of damage because I have life advantage. Great card. We got the Mandatory Lockets, we got the Orzhov, we got the Rakdos, and the Boros Locket because mana is an issue in Syr Gwyn decks. Sir Gwen is a 6 cost at minimum. You need to have the Lockets in the deck, I feel personally, just to generate mana. In my real life deck, I also have the Signets as well because mana is such a crucial thing to have. Rem Carlos, Stalwart Slayer. It is a 3 cost for 2/3, flying haste. If spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage, so it does protect me and all my little creatures. If spell will deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1. That effect has never ever come into play. It's mainly here because it's cheap, it's flying, it's haste, and it's a 2/3. The fact that it has it prevents damage is just a bonus. Sky Knight Legionnaire. It's a 3 cost for 2/3, flying haste. Again, cheap knight, flying haste, fantastic. Sunrise Cavalier, a kind of a new addition to the deck. It's 3 cost for 3/3 with trample and haste. If it's neither night or day, Sunrise enters the battlefield. If it's neither night nor day, it becomes day when Sunrise Cavalier enters the battlefield. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature I control. Doesn't come up too much. On kind of rare occasions, if I'm playing against a werewolf deck, it might come up, but it's mainly here because it's a cheap 3/3 with trample and haste. Obviously, we're going to buff this card up with just by playing the deck, so that trample will come into play more often than you'd think. Obviously, we have Chromatic Lantern because, sometimes lands just don't want to cooperate with us, so at least we get to fix it. Diamond Knight. Diamond Knight, whenever this card comes into the battlefield, choose a color. Whenever I cast a spell of chosen color, put a +1/+1 on Diamond Knight. I have honestly seen my Diamond Knights get up to something stupid like 12/12s. I think it's hysterical that this 3 cost artifact creature knight can become something like a 12/12 with vigilance. It's a fantastic card. It's cheap enough that it doesn't need a ton of resources to get it on the field and doing stuff. I would personally always recommend choosing the color white because white is the majority of the deck, even though on this page it looks like there's a lot of red and or black. Choose white. Fullbearer Blade. Equipped creature gets +3/+0, has vigilance and trample. So doesn't do much for Sir Gwen because she already has vigilance. However, the +3 and the trample is the key thing in that card. Give it to small creatures if you need to, just to buff them up a bit more. Great card, super cheap. Icon of Ancestry, one of the first artifacts that's going to give our cards just amazing abilities. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. We're playing knights, so we're going to choose knights. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. You could pay 3 and tap, but look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature type of the chosen type from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Honestly, I don't use this card for its tap ability. It's here because it's a 3 cost artifact that'll give all my knights +1/+1. Um, just use it for that. You don't need to use it for its scrying like ability. If you need to, sure, but it's in here just to make our knights bigger. Signal Sword of Varalon. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. It has vigilance and is a knight in addition to other types. Here's the key thing about it though: whenever equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white knight creature token that with vigilance that is attacking. That is the power of this artifact equipment. The +2/+2 vigilance and knight is great. I actually in my real deck run Sun Titan, so I get around it, but I get around the restriction of only having knights in the deck by saying I put the sword on Sun Titan and becomes a knight, so I fix it. But in all seriousness, card's amazing. +2/+2 vigilance and creating a 2/2 knight creature token that's attacking is fantastic. Belsar Lieutenant. Vigilance, protection from multicolor. I always read over that part where it says protection from multicolor, uh, but that's a huge thing. It is a 4 cost 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, put +1/+1 counter on target creature I control. Whenever it or another creature I control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, create a 2/2 white knight token with vigilance. Um, so this card already you should know is amazing. But the funny thing about it is, the way we play knights, all of our knights get +1/+1 counters. So this card actually will generate a lot of knight tokens quicker than you think it will if your opponent starts shooting down our board. It's fantastic. I don't know why you would not put this in any kind of deck. I've honestly tried to make room for this card in other decks because I actually pulled this in real life and I was very happy about it. Gallant Cavalry. When Gallant Cavalry enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Are you seeing a theme here with most of these cards? It is a little pricey being a 4 cost for 2/2. However, it generating another 2/2 creature is why it's in the deck and is justifiable for its mana cost. Valiant Knight. Other knight creatures you control get +1/+1. You can pay 5. Knights you control gain double strike into the end of the turn. I've used this card to just win games with its additional um, ability that it has. Being a 4 cost for 3/4 is just fine by itself. Other knights getting +1/+1 is what makes it amazing. Obviously, we do have to have one Wrath of God in the deck for board wipes because people can wild just as hard as we can wild. Aurelia, Knight of the Windgrace. 4 cost for 4/4 vigilance. You can pay 2 and a white, tap it, create a 2/2 white knight token with vigilance, or you can play black and tap X untap knight you control, destroy target creature with power X or less. Hasn't really come up the black cost. I have done it on occasion. If my opponent plays something small like our favorite vampire waifu, where it's just a 1/1 with death touch, I will do that. Tap knights I need to just to blow it up so I don't have to lose knights to its death touch ability. Um, its ability to generate knight tokens is great, and again, it's not a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. Kalia's Wrath. Sure, all creatures that gain life equal to the number of creatures that were destroyed this way. Just a board wipe, but you need several board wipes, I feel, in most decks. Tori D. Avent Furious Rider. It's a 4 cost for 3/4 Vigilance Trample. When it attacks, all other attacking creatures I control get +1/+1 to the end of turn. Other red attacking creatures I control get trample until the end of the turn. Untap each other white attacking creature you control. A lot of text. Basically, why it's here. It attacks with a bunch of other things. They all get +1/+1, and if they're red, they gain trample, which is fantastic because that's what Sir Gwen is. Which is why I joke. No, this is just a fantastic card. The fact that red cards gain trample is great. It's mainly in here because it just buffs all the cards that are attacking. Cleansing Nova. This is our what is it? Lightning Storm ish card in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's versatile. It's either a board wipe or it destroys all artifacts and enchantments. With the new release of artifact cards, this card is just getting even more value. But yeah, I love the flexibility on the card. Sir Alan, the Lion's Claw. It's a 5 cost for 4/4 first strike. Whenever it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1. Like I said, guys, we're gonna make use of all those little night tokens, and human tokens that we generate. This is kind of how we're doing it. It's cards like the Lion's Claw or the Furious Rider makes them big when they need to be. Cavalier of Night. It is a 5 cost for 4/5 lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, I may sacrifice another creature. When I do, destroy target creature an opponent controls, so it helps me to control my opponent's board. And then when it dies, I can return a mana 3 value or less from my graveyard to the battlefield, so it'll bring back a small knight. It's here just to control the board. The fact that it brings something back when it dies is nice, but normally it's already served its purpose by that point. I'm starting to notice a pattern with my own deck building. Every deck I have has Sir Conrad, and why I don't know. All seriousness, I do know he's a fucking fantastic card. 5 cost for 4/5. Whenever another creature dies or is put into the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves my graveyard, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. You can pay 1 in black. Each player mills a card. The card is fantastic. Kind of as a finisher, I'll swing out with a huge board of knights. My opponent will block or do whatever, and then Sir Conrad will just ping him down for whatever remains. Vanquisher Banner. Okay, this might be the best artifact, actually. Enters the battlefield, choose target creature type. We're going to choose dragons because obviously. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a creature card of the chosen type, draw a card. If you have any control over your deck, get this card out as quickly as you can and use its draw power just to start gaining massive card advantage. If you can, at the end of the day, it just does buff all our cards for 5, which is fine. But yeah, if I open with this card, I try to keep it in my own opening hand if possible and just get down as many mana rocks, as many lands, whatever I have to do. Stall the game till I get this card down, and then just kind of usually from that point I start wiling. Silverwing Squadron. It's a 5 cost. It's a 6 cost. Sorry for question mark flying vigilance. Its power and toughness equals to the number of creature cards you control. We're making a lot of tokens. We're playing a lot of cheap knights. This card gets massive quickly when it enters the battlefield. When it attacks, create a number of 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance equal to the number of opponents you have. So obviously in arena doesn't generate much value. In real commander, where it's a as a 4-player game, you generate 4 knight tokens. This card's broken. It's just a really good card because at the end of the day, if I need it to be, it's a giant wall. If not, it's a finisher because it has flying. Circle of Loyalty. The spell costs 1 less for each knight you control. Well, I wonder what's in the deck. No, in all seriousness though, creature you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. You can pay 5, tap it, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. This card is fantastic. Because it gets cheaper with all the knights. Again, if this is in your opening hand, keep it if you can. Play it as quickly as you can. You'll get advantage with cards like Syr Gwyn and some of the other legendary knights that we have to get more knight tokens. And then if nothing else, you can just pay into it to generate knight tokens, swing out for game. Fantastic card. Finale of Glory. I think this card is just fantastic in whatever decks I can put in. Obviously, because the Sir Gwen deck is based around, ensuring that we have the mana that we need. If games do go late enough, this card can get a ton of value because we're going to create a bunch of 2/2 white creature tokens with vigilance. And then I'm always trying to pay 10 into the card. So that way I also create X4 white angel tokens with flying and vigilance. This card is either a finisher or this is a card where, someone board wiped, we pay all of our mana into this card, and then we just kind of win from there. Moving on to lands, we got 9 plains, 1 thriving heath, 1 swamp, 1 thriving moor, 1 mountain, 1 blight climb pathway, 1 godless shrine, 1 isolated chapel, 1 Orzhov Guildgate, 1 scored barrens, 1 shattered sanctum, 1 temple of silence, 1 Blightstep Pathway, 1 Blood Crypt, Rakdos Guildgate, Boros Guildgate, Temple of Triumph, Windscarred Crags, Savai Tome, Tournament Grounds Command Tower, and Secluded Courtyard. So we do have the night lands in the deck. All in all, we are running 38 lands, a little bit higher than I normally run, but I feel like this is the appropriate amount of lands. I did have it at 40 at one point, felt it was too much, trimmed it down to 2 by 2 to make it 38. Tried to go down to 35, 34. too few. Put it at 38. I have found it to be the best. But we are running 37 creature cards, so this is mainly knights, lands, and then all the other cards to make everything awesome. So hopefully you guys enjoy the videos, and I will see you later. there you have it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this deck overview has given you guys a bit of love for the knights. Like I said, I own this deck in real life. I love my Sir Gwen Nightly Crusade deck. You guys were able to see there are a couple ways to win through it. Either you having Sir Gwen just become, you know, a Voltron commander, but you also saw games where we had stuff like Vanishing Banner, Circle of Loyalty, just buff up all of our small knights in the early game, so that in the mid game they were swinging and doing just a ton of damage, more than they really should have been. Also, there are, just like I said, with all these small cards, there are ways to just recover from a board wipe, and as long as our artifacts are still in are still intact, you can just rebuild your board quickly enough and then just while out again. This deck has been a lot of fun. If you do have a majority of these cards, try to build it, try it out. I think it's honestly just a fun deck. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Warhammer 40k Secret Lair series that we're doing as well. Yeah, like I said, guys, I love making these deck videos for you guys. I love filming all the games and that. If you guys enjoy it, leave a like, leave a comment. I love to talk with you guys. Tell me what I could do better for the decks, because I'm always looking to improve my decks, guys. Always, always, always. I love Magic, love Commander. Always looking to bring you guys better and better content. So yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.